Thanks for staying with us. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, says he will meet with state governors to agree on the mass release of at least 30% of inmates from custodial centers across the country. According to him, over 70% of the 75,635 inmates at present were awaiting trial, and the federal offenders in the system were far less than 10%, adding that the bulk of people in custody were those who have run foul of the state laws. What are your thoughts on this? You can join the conversation and call us on 081-270-53687 or 091-390-76948. I also know, like I took it in the papers this morning, but I didn't have time to go through it, that there are 3 new centers projected to accommodate about 9,000 inmates that are currently being worked on in Kano and River States, as well as Abuja. But is that the crux of the matter? The fact that we have a lot of people who are in these custodial centers awaiting trial for a case. If they had gone to trial in 6 months, they would have finished their jail term and left. You have people who are waiting trials for 10 years, 15 years. But what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, you know, a lot of what is wrong with our system, a lot of the issues we are having with our system is largely misplaced priority. It's a case of we're not dealing with the real issues. For the clogged, overburdened prison system, the real issue is judiciary. And the judiciary strengthens many other systems. It strengthens the police, it strengthens the NDLEA, it strengthens the EFCC. If we can focus on the real issue, not misplacing our priorities, not trying to say, let me do the barest minimum so that it will look like I'm doing something, we would be solving more problems. So if we can deal with judiciary, if we can speed up the time that is being spent per case, we would be able to deal with the real criminals and not just clog our prisons with people who are waiting trials, people who stole a phone, people who stole meat in the market, people who are being bullied by their more powerful counterparts and colleagues. Some people are in prison simply because somebody has said, I will put you in prison.
Yeah, I'll deal with you. And they are there.
So, and we cannot be fighting criminality and seem to be petting criminality at the same time. You cannot be releasing, under whatever guise, some set of criminals when we still have to deal. And I know it's carrot and stick approach, but I don't think this is a step in the right direction, not at this time. I believe that what should be done, if your plan is to decongest the prisons, if your plan is to deal with the situation, maybe there are issues in the prison that they know more than we know, and they cannot share with us because of the confidentiality of the situation.
Issues, yeah.
But we know, Nima said it several times, that people in prison, that private lawyers have to go in to help them to get them out on technicalities. Because they did not have a case against them in the first place. So those are the things that we should be dealing with first before we now talk about what is going on right now.
But the process in dealing with it, that's where the matter is now. Some cases will last for as long as. Some cases are awaiting trial. They've not been assigned any form of, let's go and represent you in court. I don't even know if we have, you know, the public system, we have a lot of lawyers who are supposed to be representing the people. Just give us that insight.
The crux of the issue is investigation. Most of the times, when a police officer arrests and tries to detain a person for too long, you ask that charge to court. If police officers are doing their jobs, most cases will not even have to be charged. Some cited the case of somebody stole meat in the market, but the person that stole million will be allowed to go. The person that stole meat will be awaiting trial because he cannot even afford a lawyer. So at investigation cases, let's stop hating on ourselves. That's number one. Number two, the judiciary cannot do more than it is empowered to do. What has the executive empowered it to do? How many courts? In Lagos, we can boast of courts. In Ogun State, there are new courts. In fact, Ogun State just opened a new court in Igbesa, where I'm now directing some of my cases to that are you know, of federal nature. So we're able to enjoy it. But if the cases are jurisdictional such that I cannot move beyond Lagos, I will stay. And the Lagos courts, the population of Lagos, the issues are congested. If you look at some states, they don't even have new courts. Lagos is even responding to having special courts for sexual offenses, you know, creating. But how many would they do? So there are other methods of decongesting court systems that happen where the chief judge of each state goes in. I know that of Lagos have been able to benefit 2 criminal cases where she went in and just looked into the technicalities of some cases and just decided to free some of those inmates because they don't have substantial cases against them. So she can have that opportunity where she looks into the files of the cases of people presently being held in court. No, it's a he now. The chief judge of Lagos is a he. Okay. So then it was a she, and she could look into the cases and then they do those pardons and powers. She's empowered to free such inmates. But across Nigeria, our custodial centers are overstretched.
Yes, now.
A custodial center that cannot hold more than 700 people is holding over 70,000 people or 7,000 people per time. So you have that issue of, can the governors do something about it? Number one, can the governors sign
death warrants?
Hey,
no governor.
They don't like to, yeah.
So you don't sign it, then you don't have a system to deal with the stretching of the system of the prisons. You're not building new facilities. You are not doing anything. You're just leaving the system to run on autopilots. You cannot.
But Nima, those people on life sentence, are they they are not that much. I wouldn't say they are much.
They're not the critical mass.
They're not the critical mass in the prison.
Well, they're not, but they also benefit from not just the funds of the custodial system. Because if a person is held for life, he said when he's been sentenced to death, he's exhausted his appeals. It's just, somebody just say, okay, he will not die, he will just remain there.
And it's costing us money to take care of him.
On court money. It's either you look into his case, you give him a period of time where you think he is due for pardon, you pardon him if you must. If you will not, you sign the death warrant. Let the system run institutional-wise. Let it run. And then the judiciary, can you employ more judges? The judges will have to adjourn. Yeah. They will have to hold.
Take breaks.
They cannot come and kill themselves. That kind of thing. So when you have cases, sometimes we'll be in court. Presently, I don't even like going to the courts anymore. Sometimes you wait, and if, God forbid, your case is called last, you wait the entire day.
Wow.
You cannot run out and say you are going somewhere.
Because you don't know if they will call you.
You don't know if they'll call you. So the judges who are now sitting there all day, do you think they are finding it funny if you that you are on the bench you are complaining? So they have to, and they also have to, some courts still have to handwrite their hearings and judgments. Why don't we have a more improved system like we have abroad, where the judge is enjoying listening and can refer to recorded hearings later? So there's so many things that they must do to improve the system wholesomely. But in the meantime, can we just listen to what the minister is saying and have a method where they go in?
You agree with him? You agree with the minister?
Of course,
that's
totally
amazing. But before I come to you, Tokwe, I'm sorry I have to take you guys back to American movies, where I know that they have state lawyers who would defend the common man. So instead of your case thrown out or you are awaiting trial for a long time, the state pays them to advocate for the common people. We don't have that here.
We do. We have legal.
Are they working?
Of course they are. And they're working the same style as the American. You know that
because what I see is that people don't have money to.
American movie too.
No,
and the lawyers who are not interested in your case. They're not interested in your case. So if you, God forbid, you get the one that is it will help you quash it, pata, you just go to jail. So for you to find a lawyer that is interested in your case,
are they not supposed to be interested in your case? I'm talking about the state lawyers
employed now.
So they should pick up cases.
They have a duty. They are paid salary to come and exercise. They're not interested in your case. I'm trying to explain.
But that's wrong.
They don't have a personal. No, it's not wrong.
And they don't have a time.
It cannot be controlled. They have loads of such free legal aid they have to give because the state is paying them. So they are not particularly interested. But if you were paying a lawyer, the lawyer will be fully interested.
See, when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about why they are not particularly interested in some cases. Because you will tell us so. Because it's your jurisdiction.
That's why I went there.
It is your jurisdiction. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we continue these conversations and probably take phone calls and messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. So we are still looking at this issue of releasing a lot of inmates to free up space in our custodial centers. And Tokwe had a comment.
So, like most Nigerians that have been betrayed by this system for a very long time, our first reaction to every report from the government is to doubt, is to disbelieve.
The intention.
Is to believe that there's something fishy going on there because of the past experiences we've had. But imagine if I decide to approach this report from our Minister for Interior from the perspective that Here is a very sincere, hardworking Minister of Interior who is looking at the situation and is diligently trying to find a way to decongest the prison. Then I would assume that Minister Aregbesola has created a checklist of what are the of metrics to measure the people who are in prison but shouldn't be in prison. And we are only truly keeping real criminals there. Maybe also I would want to assume that the minister, in case he doesn't have it already now, would have a list of trainings and psychotherapy session that will help those that have spent minimum of 3 to 6 months in the prison to reform before they come out. See, this is not normal just talking to a psychiatrist. BC and I we've done NLP, we're coaches. There are things you can do to a human being that will help reset their brain. And we must be open to those research that psychiatrists and psychologists have done. And we must
bring them into the system.
Yes. So that if I'm going to release you, you must have done 10 sessions with this therapist. This psychiatrist has done 10 sessions with you and certify that you are okay to add value to the society, that the prison hasn't made you worse than you know. So those are little checklists that I would expect. So when I read the reports, and I am not the typical Nigerian that feels everything the government is about to say is just, there's a lie there, I would be willing to ask questions like, okay, what is the checklist you're using to verify who you're going to be releasing? What are they people that there was no case against them, or they are awaiting trial for so long, and based on internal investigation, are you getting lawyers? There are many student lawyers or fresh graduate lawyers who just finished their law school who will be willing to do pro bono cases to help reduce the time that these people are spending. Are you considering that, making it easy? There are many things that Nigerians want to do to help the government if the government is willing. And I think that it's very important that Nigerians also don't put on your cap of, this is government, they are not serious, they are not ready, they are just going to fight for their own pockets. Let us be willing to dialogue with the government and just receive the information based on what you are reading, not with the coloration of past experiences, which is what we tend to do. You know.
If we talk about what you just talked about, which is reformation and all of that, you will see funding at the bottom.
Hey, everything is about
Just
funding.
last month, the minister himself was asking for funding for completion of 3 of their new facilities, and he was wishing that out of the 6, those 3 was at least completed before he answered.
Nima, I wouldn't want you to lose your thoughts. Let's take this call from Benin. Good morning.
This is Ambi calling from Benin.
Good morning, Andy. How you doing? Ambi, how are you doing today?
I'm very fine. I'm very fine.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Just to quickly say that since 1999, only one governor has signed the death sentence, really, for inmates. We don't know why they are reluctant to do so. But we know that
it's not easy.
Lawyers clamor that that's not a good deterrent against criminal offenses, really. But going to the next issue of decongesting the prisons. And now I want to just quickly say that during the coronavirus outbreak, you know, there was an executive order to try to decongest the prisons to see people where medical practitioners were asked to go to the correctional centers. Then you see people who on health grounds, they were allowed to go. But let me quickly say that we don't notice today the statistics of people who benefited from such. There is no systemic way to determine some of these things. I heard one of your resource persons there talking about psychotherapy or psychiatric services for some of the inmates. Really and truly, that is necessary. But I want to ask you, how many psychiatrists or clinical psychologists are in the service of the Nigerian Correctional Service? I doubt if there's any psychiatrists in their employment. So the people who are there, how many are medical consultants? They are probably just medical officers, and you cannot give what you don't have. So it's a very serious, the burden is huge. I want to thank you for raising this issue. Because some of our people go there for money.
Thank you so much, Ambi. We've heard from, yes.
So, like I was talking about, funding is at the crux of all of these issues that they're having. The minister had asked for funding to complete 3 out of the 6 currently being built new facilities across the country. And he was praying in that report last week that he gets 3 of it at least developed. completed before he leaves office. Also, the House of Reps had a public hearing for a bill called the Nigerian Correctional Service Trust Fund. And this bill is supposed to create a trust fund that can help raise funds towards this. Aside that, NGOs are the major funders of the prisons. You were talking about lawyers. Young lawyers through the NYSC join a committee called Legal Aid. They go to the prisons to earn their skills, giving free legal services. Yeah. But you know, as soon as NYSC is over, only a few of them stay on. I have a few friends who have recently relocated to the UK.
I was in that batch, my NYSC.
Were completely committed to that. Even after NYSC, they stayed on and continued free legal aid. They presently left the country now, so you can imagine. The PRI is headed by a friend as well, Adetola Kazim, constantly going to the prison to do that. So the cost behind the prison decongestion and a lot of fund help you have NGOs behind this. Can we continue to encourage them rather than stifle them and make this place hard where somebody then thinks, okay, let me just relocate my family abroad and drop that worthy cause?
Yeah, let's take this call from London. Good morning. Tonya from London, good morning.
Hello.
Or is it London? Good morning.
Hi. Yes. How are you guys doing?
We're doing amazing. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well. I was just listening to what you guys were saying, and I agree that I think that more funding should probably be available, because if it's not on the, lawyer's mind that they're getting paid well, they may not be interested in representing the case, which I obviously don't think is correct.
Okay, hear you.
But it's like, if you don't have the money, you can't afford the representation, then you're not going to get maybe the best care. And I feel like it's not correct, it's not fair if you don't have the money to represent yourself.
Thank you so much, Tonya.
Okay, so I wanted to say talking about the right representation. So I think she's referring to the legal
what you were saying.
Talking about people lawyers not necessarily being interested in public service,
cases.
The cases they are assigned.
So there was a question. There was a question of, do we have enough psychiatrists? Every coach has to do compulsory number of hours.
Yeah.
And that can be an hour
free
given
to them.
Yeah. And they would listen to your problem because it is compulsory. Every psychiatrist has, they look for many coaches, and there are several coaches that will be willing to, because it's part of your CV.
Yeah,
I volunteered
it helps build
20 hours in 20 or 40 hours or 100 hours in a year to the prison reform. Nigerians are willing to help Nigeria. As much as we think people are checking out, how many people are checking out? The people that have relocated, did they reach 10,000? It's impossible.
It's even expensive.
The majority of Nigerians are here, and we want to make Nigeria work.
Let me pause you. I'll come back to you, Tokwe. We have Dr. Abubakar. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Not Dr. My name is Abubakar.
Abubakar.
From Okene, Kogi State.
Okay. You're welcome, sir. Good morning.
Yes, the part agreed to release some of the inmates to decongest the prison facility. But what are the criteria they're supposed to use? You have to be very careful. Because now, for my own suggestion, anyone they're going to get, just to take time off, they have to involve DSS and to go and check the family background of some of the first inmates. What has been his behavior among his family or the area he is. So if he goes back to the society, whether he's able to do well. Those ones with drugs-related matter that make them to do bad things, that's one has to be taken to this psychiatric something for check-up for so that because there's no point of releasing them and they come and cause more harm in the society. No need. If those ones you know that they are no more useful into the society, and if you release them, they're going to cause more harm. There's no point of releasing them. Let them stay in the prison till the end of their life.
What about, sorry, Dr. Abubakar, what about those people, excuse me, what about those people who are just awaiting trial? They have not even been tried, and they've been there for years. They should just stay there.
Oh, well, I mean, that's why you have to take the judge to make it speedy. It's something. Actually, I quite agree with you. Delaying such people is not good. That's the fault of those prosecuting the cases. It's their fault. But
thank you, Dr. Abubakar. Thank you so much. We're wrapping up, so
Yes, so
final thoughts,
like I was saying, I think that it's the government needs to be more open to people for individual citizens that are passionate about supporting and helping, to be willing to help. We have many economists we bring here who say that who come up with different ideas that can bring solution, and they say they write letters to our ministers and they don't get any response. No leader knows all. The idea of good leadership is ability to gather every resource that you have and put them to good use.
Yeah.
So I want to believe that Minister Aregbesola has gathered a lot of resource and putting it to good use towards releasing these 30 prisoners. I have 2 messages on YouTube I want to quickly read. Gudubit said, anyone awaiting trials for 15 to 20 years, if not a murderer, child abuser, rapist, should be released. If they freed, Emmanuel said, if they freed Boko Haram and terrorists and bandits, they should also free some of these prisoners out there. Yeah. Then Oladidi said, it appears it is those who have mastered the dark art of suspend, adjourn, nullify, that are, in quotes, he puts SAN. They are awarded honorary SAN title. Expect delays when they are involved.
Wow.
So it is not in the hands of the Interior Minister to release prisoners. The law empowers states chief judges to visit, like I said earlier, review some cases, but they are not interested. Yeah. The new Correctional Service Act has provisions for non-custodial sentences for implementation by the judiciary. So those avenues of non-custodial sentences should also be...
Yeah, and I think that's what the minister is trying to achieve. I want to believe that he's systemic in his plans to ensure that these people are actually released, especially those ones who are still awaiting trial for very petty petty issues, petty thieving and all of that. So I wish him all the best, and I hope that he will get a lot of support from the state governments to do this. That's all we can take on this topic. Thank you, ladies. When we come back, we move on to our Let's Talk. Stay with us.